Good morning, good morning. Welcome to today's coffee chat. Well, I have to start today by saying thank you. Thank you to everybody who has been purchasing cookbooks from me. It's been an amazing couple of weeks, totally overwhelming to receive your support, and it's been so fun to hear from everybody, hear from people who've been trying recipes, what you've been trying, what you've been loving. It's just been completely warming my heart. So thank you. Wanted to just express that right off the top of today's video. If you're new to the community here, welcome to my channel. Each week I invite you into my kitchen for a casual chat over a cup of coffee, and I just share with you what's on my mind around food and nutrition, things that I'm seeing in the media lately about food and nutrition. I bust nutrition myths. I talk about things that have been popping up in grocery stores and farmers markets, and I review cookbooks. Basically everything that my friends ask me about, or things that people ask me about when they meet me at a business networking event or a cocktail party and they find out that I'm a dietitian. People always have tons that they want to ask me and find out my opinion on, so I thought, hey, I'll share this with you in my kitchen over a cup of coffee. So I invite you to click the subscribe button below and the little notification bell so that you always get invited for the latest video. So what I have on my mind today, what I thought I'd do today is something that I haven't done in a little bit, which is to review something that's popped up in the grocery stores lately. And today what I'm going to be talking about is oat milk. And maybe you've seen it pop up in the last year or so in the grocery store. It's been the latest addition to the plant-based milk alternative area of the grocery store, that whole kind of genre in the grocery store. And whenever I see something pop up in the grocery store, I always like to try it, particularly something like a plant-based milk, because I do have a lot of clients who are vegan or who don't do dairy milks for a number of different reasons. Perhaps they have IBS, perhaps some lactose intolerance, other things. And so I definitely like to try the different alternatives out there so that I can share some opinions and help direct them in choosing ideas. I also myself, I do a bit of a combination between a dairy milk and a plant-based milk. I'm one of the people out there who, if I do too much dairy, my skin breaks out. So I like to keep it in balance. And so the kind of balance that I typically choose is that I have milk in my coffee in the morning, but I use a plant-based milk alternative in my overnight oats, for example. That's the type of balance that I personally choose. And so I was excited when I saw the oat milk and kind of curious because I noticed right away from the package that it was saying that it was using oats from Canadian farmers. And I do love to support fellow Canadians and particularly our Canadian farmers. So I was excited to try this product. Because something that, I don't know about you, but that I've always noticed with the plant-based milks is that I like them in cold preparations. Things like the overnight oats that I mentioned, smoothies, that sort of thing. But I've always found them to be not very satisfactory, just taste-wise for myself when it comes to warm things. So like in my coffee or in turmeric golden milk, a hot chocolate, or if I'm making more of a creamy soup, for example, from scratch at home. I've always found that the plant-based milks, not super crazy about how they perform. And so when I saw the oats, I thought, oh, that's interesting, because I know that the nature of oats is quite different than the nut-based milks. So I thought, okay, let's give this a try. And so what I have found is that, yes, it has those properties that I was hoping for. I find the oat-based milk much creamier and much sweeter than the nut-based or the rice milks. Particularly, it's getting even closer to a dairy milk in those types of things, particularly the warm beverages like the hot chocolate or a turmeric golden milk in my coffee. I really find that the oat milk is performing much better than many of the other plant-based milk alternatives. And really that's related to the natural properties of oats. There's a difference between oats and nuts or rice. Particularly versus the nuts, you'll find that there is quite a bit more carbohydrate naturally in the oat milk. Now, that's not that they're adding any extra sugar. I want to be clear, I'm talking about in the unsweetened varieties. There is going to be naturally more carbohydrate in them because oats are a grain. It's just that's the nature of oats versus a nut, and versus a nut, say, like almonds. So there's going to be more carbohydrate in an oat milk, which is what gives it that creamier, sweeter flavor. So it's going to be fine if you're eating kind of a lower carbohydrate way of eating, which is how for most of my 40 plus clients I recommend eating. It's probably not going to fit if you're following a keto diet or something quite strong in that way. But for most of us who it's going to fit for most ages, and if, as I said, for my clients who are kind of 40 plus, for most of us, I'm recommending a bit of a lower carbohydrate way of eating, and this is still going to be fine. Something that I noticed about this particular brand, and there's a few brands out there, I'm not trying to just highlight this brand, although this is the one I'm seeing in my grocery store. I want to be perfectly clear, this is not a sponsored video. I bought this with my own money, but this brand I noticed, which is the brand that's in my local grocery store, is that it is also non-GMO. It's made from oats that haven't been cross-contaminated with gluten, so it is gluten-free, so it's going to be appropriate for people who are celiac. It's kosher. It is created in a place that also does process tree nuts and soy, so if you have allergies, that's something to consider. And something that I thought was quite interesting when I did a little bit of research is that oats use quite a bit less water than nuts for the growing process. So from an environmental point of view, the oat milk perhaps is a better choice than, say, almond milk. Although when I was looking at my research, I found that the oats are going to be similar to, from a water consumption point of view, to the soy. So that was a similar. So that was kind of an interesting thing to note, but quite a bit less than the nuts. Just how we grow nuts on the trees for almonds, hazelnuts, that sort of thing. It involves more water consumption than growing an oat. And also, as I mentioned, that the oats for this particular product are grown on Canadian farms, so I do like to support that. Like any plant-based milk alternative, this one is fortified with vitamin B12, with vitamin D2, and calcium, and some B vitamins, and vitamin A as well. So it's going to be similar to the other plant-based milks with that fortification for those vitamins and minerals. What I did notice about this one is that this one does not use carrageenan. So if you have some concerns around that, this one is not including it. So that's what I wanted to share today, my excitement about finding the oat milk and how I've personally been using it as my plant-based milk alternative often in the rotation now, because I like the taste better, and I like to support those Canadian farmers and the little bit less water-intensive farming practices needed to create it. What have you been seeing in the grocery store shelves lately? If you've seen a product lately that you'd love for me to review, include that in the comment box below. I'm doing some planning about what to share with you for the next couple months coming up in 2020. So please share that below, and that will help guide me into some future videos. If you liked today's video, let me know, share a thumbs up. Have a great week, and I will see you back here next Thursday morning.